Hello there, friend. It's good to see you again. I'm well-known artist Rob Boss here with another episode for you today. Let's get started. Today we will be talking about color theory and resiliency again. Now, for those of you who missed my last video or just need a refresher, let's go over what they mean. Resiliency means when we are able to keep moving forward even when bad things happen. We are resilient when we feel our feelings and find something positive or hopeful to focus on. Color theory is the study of color and how it works in art, science, and everyday life. In short, color theory is everything we know about how we see color, how we use color, and how colors make us feel. Last time we learned about primary, secondary, and tertiary colors using the color wheel that we made together. We also saw some examples of how colors can change the way that we feel about a piece of art or film with a few examples. This time we are going to learn a few new terms that help us to describe colors and explore color schemes and how to use them. So here we have our color wheel. Primary, secondary, and tertiary colors. What you see here are actually called hues. The hue is the pure color in its brightest, most concentrated form. From the hue, we can then make lighter, darker, or more subdued colors by adding white, black, or gray, respectively. Adding white to a hue is called a tint. Adding black to a hue is called a shade, and adding gray to a hue is called a tone. Now, this graphic from mymodernmit.com explains this really well. Now, we will be using these to create some different color schemes. A color scheme, or a color palette, is a group of colors. How we put together colors, that is, hues, shades, tints, and tones, can change the emotions we feel about something. Now, here are a few examples of the types of color palettes that we will be using a lot by putting different shapes onto our color wheel and using those colors that are at the corners.
Complementary, two colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. Analogous, three or more colors that are directly next to each other on the color wheel. Triadic or triangular, when three colors are evenly spaced on the color wheel. Square, four colors that are evenly spaced apart on the color wheel. Split complementary, this is made by taking two complementary colors and finding the two colors on either side of a certain color.
So how do these different color palettes make us feel? Some of them can be very pleasing to look at and make us feel calm and comfortable. Others can be more jarring or uncomfortable to look at if the colors are too bold or if it's too busy. Color palettes are all around us. Just pick up any item of food from your refrigerator or look at any object that comes with a packaging. Count how many different colors you see on that packaging. Oftentimes it is difficult to find the entire rainbow on a single package. That's because brands and companies will use a certain color scheme so that their products are recognizable, which helps them sell. In a moment, I am going to name a color, and I want you to think of as many things that you can buy in a store with that color in them, on them, or associated with them. You'll only have a few seconds to name as many as you can. Are you ready? The first color is red. Now, blue. And last, green and yellow together. Great job, friends. Now is a great time to share some of your answers in the comments if you'd like. As you can see, color shapes our lives in many ways, whether in movies and shows that we watch or the items that we buy. But we can use color, and especially color palettes, to our advantage and to our own personal benefit. If you gather your materials ahead of time, or if you are watching this post-broadcast and can pause the video, now would be a great time for you to go ahead and grab those materials. All right, friends, so we are going to paint ourselves a little resiliency painting today. Now, who remembers what it means to be resilient? Go ahead and just shout it at the screen. Did you say that resiliency means when we keep going even when bad things happen? Why, that's right. And when we experience something that is challenging or unpleasant, we can use our resiliency to remember that even if we feel bad now, there's always a way for us to find something positive to think about, because this won't last forever, and we can find a way to get through it. To be hopeful. To give us a calm and fun piece of art to make, we are going to create our very own posters of resiliency. Now, if you downloaded the template, then you'll want to set that in front of you now. Otherwise, if you want to take some time to write it in your own words, you can do that too. Here's what mine looks like. Now, I know it's a little wonky. The lines aren't straight. My handwriting hasn't always been the best, but today's not about being the best. Today's about making something that belongs to us, that can help us to get through whatever it is that we're going through. So, we are going to take our template and we're going to write the following words. If you don't have the template, now you're going to write, I got this. I can do this. Keep going. I'm okay. And that's what we say to ourselves when we're having a hard time with resiliency. You say to yourself, you say, I got this. I can do this. Keep going. I'm okay. So now, once you have written those, it's time for you to pick your color palette. Now, how many colors do you want to use? You can pick any of the shapes that we talked about earlier and place it onto your color wheel and move it around until you have the colors that you like. Then you will need to mix the colors based on the color wheel so that you can get the shades that you want. Remember to use your color wheel. If you have white and black paint, you could experiment with tints and shades and tones if you'd like as well. I'm going to use a split complementary color palette. So I'm going to be using this color and this color and this color. See, because the complementary color of this magenta here would be this green here. But because it's a split complementary, we take the colors on either side of the complementary color. So I'm going to be using this magenta, this yellow green, and this bluish green here. So I'm going to mix those right now. And you can take this time to go ahead and pick what colors you'd like to use. So let's see, I'm going to need to mix some green here. See, I'm starting with all of them, only my primary colors, because today we're working with what we got. All right, add a little more yellow. Here, you can watch if you'd like. All right, let's see. Now we've got this right here. We've got our yellow green. Mix a little more. All right, there we go. Okay, now I'm gonna wash your brush off every time so that you don't get color bleeding and mixing colors around, because then you won't have what you want. All right, dry your brush off. All right, now I need this color over here, this turquoise color. So I'm gonna take some blue and some yellow. So put some yellow over there. I'll take some blue, but we're going to take a lot more blue this time. And we'll mix those together. And it's okay if it takes you a minute. We're not in any rush. Just get it so that you've got the color that you're looking for. And you can compare it, if you'd like, to your color wheel up there. Get a little more yellow. I think that looks just about where we want it. All right. So now we're going to wash our brush again one more time. And, oh, and you know what? We don't need to mix the magenta, because the magenta is already magenta. So I am ready then. Now, let's see. I've got two hands, so I'm going to put my paint right here. Will you hold that for me? Thank you. Now, if you are ready, let's go on and move ahead. So I'm going to be using my split complementary color palette. First, you want to pick what color you're going to use for your background. once you've got all of your words written out, right? So I think I'm gonna go with my lightest color, which is my yellow green. So we're gonna take some of that yellow green and I'm gonna use this brush. If you've got a bigger piece of paper, say I'm using a small canvas card that I happen to have around. But if you don't have this, which you probably won't, you can use a regular piece of printer paper. That'll work too. And I'm using acrylic paint, by the way. If you've got a bigger piece of paper and you've got more space, you can use a big brush like this. You can fill all of that in. But for me, oh, I've got some eraser pieces down here. I'm gonna just get rid of those. All right. So we're gonna fill in this area, and I'm gonna use this brush. All right. So let's get our yellow green, and I just realized I'm gonna need a little more. So I'll mix a little more. But you can go ahead and start filling in all of the space around where your letters are. But you want to leave about a finger's width of space around so you don't accidentally cover up your letters, because we've got a smaller brush that we're going to go in and we're going to fill that in later. So just go ahead and fill in your background. There we go. Now I've got enough. So we're just going to go ahead and fill this up nice and easy. You don't need a lot of paint. Just enough. Leave a little space around. And I'll go a little in between there. Take a little more paint. I wish I could see what colors all of you have chosen. You could compare them side by side. Show off our little resiliency art gallery. But that's okay. Just fill in all this space. You know, in the art world, space where you don't have any color is called negative space, but that doesn't mean negative like it's bad. Just negative meaning there's nothing there yet. And, you know, if we think about our feelings like that, I think it changes the way that we see negative feelings. You know, it's not that they're bad. You know, we just haven't gone through them yet. And feel free to pause the video at any time if you need to, if I'm going too fast for you. If you're watching this after the broadcast. Now, let's take our small brush here, and we're gonna go in and we're gonna go start fill in the empty spaces around the letters. So we're gonna go in and we're gonna fill in these spaces now. Nice and easy. And I think it's a really helpful reminder to practice that you can be patient. It's a good time to be practicing being patient. If you make a mistake, that's okay. I've already got a couple mistakes in this painting, but doesn't make it any less beautiful in the end. Just means it's mine because I made mistakes on it. So go ahead and just keep filling in slowly. Something that I find beginning artists sometimes will do, and you are an artist now. If you're painting, that means you're an artist, is when you're doing something that requires a lot of focus or attention, you forget to breathe. And as important as art is in our lives, it's also very important to breathe. So don't forget to be breathing. And when you remember to breathe, and you remember to just enjoy the painting and be calm, you might find you've actually got more control over what you do with your brush, because you're not worried about, oh, I'm gonna make a big mistake, I'm gonna ruin the painting. No. You can't ruin it. It just means you made a different choice. these little details will take a little while. So I might fast forward through some of this so that you don't have to wait for me. So here's how it's looking so far. Almost there. Lots of little nooks and crannies to get the paint into. But if you do this on a bigger piece of paper or a bigger canvas, you won't have quite as much of a struggle as I'm having. Only because you'll have more room to work in. And this is a little bit tight. But just take your time and go nice and slow. See, just right there, I covered up a little bit the exclamation point, but you know what? It is still there, and it is okay. So I'm going to keep going. Alright, so I have finished filling in all of my background while I was off camera so that I could save you a little time. So now we're going to pick which color of our color scheme we're going to use for the letters. Now you could use all of them one color and save that last color for something else. I'm going to do every other line, I'm going to do a different color. So I'm going to start off with my turquoise color. And we're going to put it on these letters up here. My brush is still a little too wet. Let's grab a little new paint. Oh, that's better. And we're just gonna slowly and carefully go ahead and fill in our letters. Just like that. And if you need to pause the video right now so you can take your time, I would suggest that you go ahead and do that. Alright. And again, remember, it's okay if it's not perfect. What's important is that you made it. So because I'm doing this color, this line, I'm going to go ahead and paint over this line before I wash the paint off my brush. Alright. And you can see right here I made a bit of a mistake because my exclamation point is totally gone. But that is okay because I know where it's supposed to be. So I'll just fill it right in. There you go. Like it never even happened. Now, I'm done with my second color, so I'm going to go in and wash my brush off. I will go in with my last color, that magenta, and start filling in the last letters. And I can touch this part now because it's been long enough that my paint is dry, but yours might not be, so be aware of how wet your paint is. I'm gonna turn my paint into, so, because I can. I'm gonna actually hold it like this because this is a little bit easier for me, even though you would never really want to hold it like this. But that is just how I'm doing it. And now I can really see how these colors start to look really nice together. Just gonna finish up my painting, and you can see right here, the O is completely gone, but I know it's supposed to be. So I'll add it right back. And RK. Last three letters. Almost done. The Y. There we go. And one last exclamation point. There we are. Now, you could be done here if you'd like, or you could go ahead and add a little more of your own magic, your own twist on this. I want to see a little bit more of these accent colors, so I'm gonna add a little something. Actually, what I've got here is I've got this sponge brush, and then I'm gonna take some of this turquoise, get it on my brush, and I'm gonna go around the edges, around on the top too. around the edge. Sponge is a little dried out, so it's not quite doing what it would if you had one, but I still like the way it looks. All right, there we got that across, just across the top like that. And now I'm gonna rinse that off a little if I can. There we go. Now I'm gonna take some of my magenta on the other side. We're gonna go up the sides, just up and down the sides like this. And on the other side. And with that, I think I'm just about finished with my painting. Now, you're gonna wanna make sure that I'm gonna set this somewhere where it can dry. You probably wanna leave it for a couple hours to a day, depending on what you painted on top of, and how wet your paint was before you find somewhere nice to hang this. That's really all there is to it. Oh, but the last thing that we do need to do is we do need to sign our paintings. So you want to grab that small brush one more time and pick a color. Pick a color for your color palette. I like to sign right down here and put the date as well. But you can also sign with a marker or with a pencil if you've got one. I am going to use my magenta to sign my painting. Now, I like to put the date on my painting so that I can see how my artistic skills have progressed over the years. Now, you want to let this painting dry for a couple hours to a day or so that you don't mess up any of your beautiful work. And find somewhere nice to set it, maybe on the wall or on your desk or somewhere you can see it so you can remember all of the resiliency steps. Now, if you're feeling like something really bad has happened or you're just feeling down, you can say these things to yourself to help yourself feel better, feel more positive, and find something to be hopeful for. But if these steps aren't working, it's always important to make sure that you find a trusted adult to talk to if you need help. Well, friends, that's all the time we have for today. If you did follow along with the painting today, post a picture of it and make sure to tag Clown Theater in the post so we can see your beautiful work. Thanks for watching, and once again, I am Rob Boss, and this was Joy of Resiliency. We hope to see you next time. Bye-bye now.